Hi everyone, so today's lesson we're going to be working with Chapter 8, Section 4, Multiplying Special Cases. We are in the textbook on page 504. So the first thing we're going to do is a little homework review from yesterday. The first problem involves FOIL, and remember FOIL stands for first, outer, inner, last. So what we're going to do is distribute everything. So the first thing we're going to do is 2h times 5h, and I get 10h squared. Next, I do 2h times negative 3, and I get minus 6h. Next, I do 6 times 5h, and I get plus 30h. And 6 times negative 3 gives me negative 18. Next, I'm going to combine my like terms, and those like terms are minus 6h and plus 30h. So, final answer, I get 10h squared plus 24h minus 18. Now the next problem I gave you guys. Here we're multiplying a binomial by a trinomial. So what we have to do is we have to worry about distributing the binomial to each and every term inside that trinomial. So what that means is I'm going to distribute this c to every single term here, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the 8 to every term. So the first thing I do is c times 3c squared, and I get 3c cubed. Next, I do c times 4c, and I get plus 4c squared. Then I do c times 5, and I get plus 5c. Next, I'm going to do the same thing with the 8. So 8 times 3c squared gives me plus 24c squared. 8 times 4c gives me plus 32c. And 8 times 5 gives me plus 40. Now, what do I got to do next? Combine all my like terms. So my like terms are plus 4c squared and 24c squared, and then 5c and 32c. So I go ahead and combine them, and I'm left with 3c cubed plus 28c squared plus 37c plus 40. Next problem. We have x plus 3 times x squared minus 2x plus 4. So same thing here. I got to distribute. So I do x times x squared, I get x cubed. X times negative 2x, and I get minus 2x squared. X times 4, I get plus 4x. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the 3. So 3 times x squared, I get positive 3x squared. 3 times negative 2x, I get minus 6x. And 3 times 4 gives me positive 12. Now I got to worry about combining my like terms. So I do negative 2x plus 3x squared. Then I do 4x and negative 6x. So my final answer is x cubed plus x squared minus 2x plus 12. And remember, this is in standard form because our exponents go in order from greatest to least. Lastly, you had k squared minus 5k plus 2 times k minus 5. Now remember, you could do this the way I'm going to show it. You could do this, distribute each of these terms to the binomial, or remember, multiplication is commutative. If I didn't want to distribute everything in that trinomial, I could have moved the k minus 5 to the front and then distribute it. Completely up to you guys how you want to do it. So I'm going to multiply going this way. So I'm going to do k squared times k, and I get k cubed. K squared times negative 5, I get minus 5k squared. Okay, now I'm done. I've distributed this k squared to each of these terms. Now I'm going to move on to the next term. So I have minus 5k times k, so I get minus 5k squared. Minus 5k times negative 5, I get plus 25k. Okay, you distribute it to every term. Now I'm going to worry about this positive 2. 2 times k, 2k. 2 times negative 5, I get negative 10. So now I got all of this, and I got to go worry now about combining like terms. So I'm going to combine minus 5k squared and minus 5k squared. Remember, minus a minus, or minus, so we have negative 5 minus 5. They don't cancel out and give you 0. So, and then we also have plus 25k plus 2k. Those two are going to be combined. So our final answer is k cubed minus 10k squared plus 27k minus 10. So now on to this lesson. This lesson is all about something called special cases. So what's a special case? You're going to have two of them. So they're always going to look like this form, a plus b squared. So what we're going to have to do is you're going to be multiplying a plus b times a plus b. They're always going to basically, when you end up and you combine all your like terms, this is the general form they're all going to have. A squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Now you could remember that, or you could just do FOIL. Personally, I don't have this memorized. I remember how to do it with FOIL. I think it's a little easier. The other special case we can have is a minus b squared. So it's basically going to be a minus b times a minus b. That has the form of a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. Once again, I don't have this memorized. I just like to do FOIL. I feel it's a little easier to do FOIL. So when you have the parentheses with the exponent 2, so whenever you see whatever squared, you're basically going to have to set up two groups. Then we're going to use FOIL. So let's practice some examples. So as a reminder, FOIL stands for first, outer, inner, last. So let's practice an example. We have x plus 8 squared. The only way to solve this is to do x plus 8 times x plus 8. When we do that, it makes FOIL a little more obvious. So the first thing we're going to do is x times x, and we get x squared. Then next step for FOIL is the outer, so x times 8 gives us 8x. Now we're going to work with our inner, so 8 times x, 8x, and 8 times 8, which is equal to 64. So once we get this here, remember, what do? Put it horizontally. So we're left now with x squared plus 8x plus 8x plus 64. Now what do we got to do? Combine our like terms. So we're going to add 8x plus 8x. When we do that, we're left with x squared plus 16x plus 64. This is our final answer. Remember this, if you wanted to remember that whole, I told you that equation that I don't have memorized, that I just go ahead and do FOIL. This basically is like the shortcut for doing it. I still like to do FOIL so that way I don't end up like messing up somewhere along the way. I just think FOIL is a little bit easier. It's a little more time consuming, but at least when I do it that way, I know my answer is going to be correct. So let's try this one. 2x plus 9 squared. Okay, well, how do we solve that? First thing we got to do is break up it into two separate equations. So 2x plus 9 times 2x plus 9. Now this looks a little more familiar. You know what to do now. So now all we're going to do is FOIL. So the first thing, 2x times 2x gives us 4x squared. Then we do 2x times 9, and that gives us 18x. Now we're going to do inner. So 9 times 2x gives me 18x. And lastly, 9 times 9 gives us 81. So what do we do next? Now we got to put it into the horizontal form. So we have 4x squared plus 18x plus 18x plus 81. Combine our like terms. So 4x squared plus 36x plus 81. Now this right here is our final answer. Next problem. I have w plus 5 squared. How do I do this? Well, let's break it up into two. So we have w plus 5 times w plus 5. First thing I do is w times w, and that's w squared. Next thing I do, w times 5, and I get 5w. Then I do the inner. 5 times w gives me 5w, and our last is 5 times 5. 5 times 5 gives me 25. So once we got it all to here, convert it to something like this. W squared plus 5w plus 5w plus 25. Now, why isn't this our final answer? Because you could go ahead and simplify like terms. Our like terms here are 5w plus 5w. So 5 plus 5 gives me 10, and w is our variable, so it's 10w. So our final answer would be w squared plus 10w plus 25. So these couple problems we just did, that was when we had addition and right over here as the sign. Now what happens if I put a subtraction sign? So now what happens if I do x minus 7 squared? Well, the first thing we're going to do is break it up into two separate problems. So we have x minus 7 times x minus 7. So what's the first? So remember, we're still going to use FOIL. So the first term, so x times x gives me x squared. The next letter is outer, so our outer two terms get multiplied. So x times negative 7. Now remember, always use the sign here to determine if it's positive or negative. So x times negative 7 gives me negative 7x. So we did first outer, now we got to do inner. Remember, this is a negative 7, so negative 7 times x gives me negative 7x. And then we're going to work with our last. Remember, this is a negative 7, and this is a negative 7. So our last is negative 7 times negative 7, and that gives us 49. Why isn't it a negative 49? Because negative times negative becomes positive. So I convert that to this over here. So I'm left with x squared minus 7x plus 49. We're not done just yet because we can combine our like terms, and our like terms are minus 7x and minus 7x. We combine the 7, so negative 7 minus 7, it's not equal to 0, it's equal to 14. So our final answer is x squared minus 14x plus 49. Next problem. We have 2x minus 3 squared. Okay, same thing, break it up into 2. So 2x minus 3 times 2x minus 3. 2x times 2x, that gives us 4x squared. Then we do 2x times negative 3, and I get negative 6x. Now I'm going to do negative 3 times 2x, and I get, once again, negative 6x. And then I do negative 3 times negative 3, and I get positive 9. Why is it positive? Because negative times negative gives me positive. So then I take all of this and convert this into our horizontal problem. So now we have 4x squared minus 6x plus 9. Are we done simplifying? No, not yet. What can we combine? Negative 6x minus 6x. That will give us negative 12x. So our final answer would be 4x squared minus 12x plus 9. Now, how about if I have this one? X minus 11 squared. What am I going to do? Same thing. Break it up. X minus 11 times x minus 11. First thing we're going to do is x times x, which is equal to x squared. Next, x times negative 11 gives me negative 11x. Negative 11 times x gives me negative 11x. And we do negative 11 times negative 11, and I get positive 121. So now I'm left with x squared minus 11x plus 121. What do? Combine my like terms. So I get negative 11 minus 11 gives me minus 22. So minus 22x. So my final answer is x squared minus 22x plus 121. So basically the takeaway for these problems is you're going to have whatever x minus 11, in this problem we have x minus 11 squared. All you're going to do is take this, whatever's inside these parentheses, and you're going to multiply it by itself. So x minus 11 times x minus 11. And if this was a plus sign, you would just do x plus 11 times x plus 11. This squared just means to multiply whatever's in these parentheses by itself. So essentially, you're taking whatever's inside these parentheses and foiling it to itself. You're multiplying whatever's in the parentheses by itself. That's the whole point of what we just did today. Multiply it times itself. So, as always, here is our pet of the day. This little fellow over here, this is Mrs. Ziccanella's dog. His name is Chopchi. He is 10 years old, and Mrs. Ziccanella says he's the best dog ever. They got him 10 years ago. He travels around the world with them. I think Chopchi is so cute sitting over here in his little suit and his little bow tie. So some daily reminders for you guys. Your homework is assigned daily and is posted in Google Classroom and Plus portals. Your homework is to be uploaded to Classroom or emailed to me before the start of class. If I don't get it before, it's considered late and you guys don't receive full credit. So what's important is on Friday, May 8th, you're going to have a quiz on the material we've covered so far this week. So if there's anything you want me to specifically go over in a review, start sending me an email with what you want me to go over, what we've covered so far. The quiz is going to be on FOIL, what we've done today, and then what we're going to do Wednesday and Thursday. So if there's any questions you've had on what we've covered so far since Friday, send me an email and I'll help you out, and then I'll also put it in the review, because if you have a question, you might not be the only one with that question. And also, a lot of you guys have some missing work. If I haven't already done so, I'm going to be reaching out to you guys with a list of all your missing assignments. Please be proactive in submitting your assignments on time. Please make up this missing work. It's only going to benefit you guys to make up the missing work. If you have any questions, please be sure to email me and I'll get back to you guys. All right, have a great day.